Introducing Venus from Gillette, the first razor designed to make you feel like a goddess. Protective cushions surround 3 blades for the closest shave ever in just 1 stroke. So close your skin stays smoother longer. And that's something all goddesses are entitled to. Now individually sealed blades are easy to store, easy to change. Venus, reveal the goddess in you.
Hello Mumbai. This is my 3rd time here in India, and it is always an honor to come to this country because I travel a lot, but I have always seen that India is full of the nicest, warmest people in the world. So thank you again for having me. And it's also my first time following the great Dave Trott, so my goal here is just to give even 10% of the brilliance that all of you just saw. So that's my goal here. Now, 1 second, there we go. So I will begin with one observation. I do not remember any online ads that I saw yesterday. But 30 years after seeing that TV commercial, I still want to shave my legs whenever I hear the song Venus. And if you haven't noticed, I'm a guy. Now, before I discuss the biggest myths in online advertising today, a brief introduction. After careers in both journalism and marketing, I write the Promotion Fix column in the Drum and travel around the world to speak about what I report. I use my dual experiences to discuss the marketing industry with the mindset of a neutral journalist who has nothing to sell except his ideas. So here, I will go through 6 myths that I see in the online ad world. That consumers want targeted ads, that mediums do not matter, short-term results are the most important, targeting solves the problem of waste, that ad tech saves money, and that brand building is less important. I will argue here that these 6 statements are patently false and only hurt our marketing efforts. To begin, a little theory. We have always had 2 main categories of advertising: brand advertising and direct response. Brand advertising builds brands among all category buyers for long-term benefit. Direct marketing gets immediate, trackable responses from a targeted set of people. The benefits of brand advertising is that it can be creative and memorable. It's subtle and not too annoying. People tolerate brand advertising because it's sometimes even entertaining. Again, I remember ads that I saw 30 years ago. I do not remember any blog posts or PPC ads that I saw yesterday. But the negatives are that it can be expensive and not easily trackable. And that rubs a lot of online marketers the wrong way because they are so used to seeing immediate, measurable results in some dashboard. Now, the benefit of direct marketing is that it can be cheaper. And just think about how often we see online marketers wondering how to do some quick, cheap hack for something. Direct marketing is also trackable in a way that is impossible to do quickly in brand advertising or PR campaigns. But the most important negative aspect of direct response is that it is annoying. When a campaign is cheap, the ads will also be cheap. People tolerate brand advertising, but they hate direct marketing. And that negative impression, so to speak, is part of the negative aspects of ad tech. Over the past 20 years, digital marketing has gone almost all in on direct marketing. Most online ads today are not actually advertising, but direct response. Today, ad tech is all the rage, but it's just another way to do direct marketing. Take this clip from the Film Minority Report. It depicts what most ad tech platforms would love to be today.
John Ashton. Escape from it all, Harrison. Just get of age, forget your past.
Hello, Mr. Yakamoto. Welcome back to the Gap. How those assorted tank tops work out for you?
Mr. Yakamoto.
Now, a lot of marketers watch that and think, wow, when can we do that? But remember, the 99.9% of people in the world who are not marketers saw Tom Cruise getting scanned for ads and were horrified. Remember, the world in Minority Report is a dystopia. It is a reflection of everything in the world going to hell, including the Marcom. And sadly, we are moving closer to that reality. Here is a clip from a Spanish TV news report that featured Bismarck's magic mirror at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. Pardon the Spanish.
La motxilla d'espac.
M'agrada molt.
Pau,
18 anys. 28.
Somriu molt, va, a veure que ens cridi l'atenció, t'està detectant, ets un home, 26 anys.
Bé,
sí, t'ha trobat ja.
26, en tinc 29, per tant em pot veure que m'ha vist més gran de la mitjana d'anys que ens treu.
Sí, a nosaltres ens ha tret més
Provem,
anys,
que
som
faci
molt
la foto.
dones.
Sí,
Això ho fa perquè em vol captar, home, amb les dones et treu 10 anys.
Ara, fa la foto.
Va, vinga, perquè has somrigut automàtic, s'ha disparat.
Molt bé. I ara a veure què em recomana.
No veig xiruques per enlloc.
No,
a veure, mira, veus colors,
mira. Home, els recomano uns calçotets d'aquests sexis.
Fins i tot ho podem tuitejar i compartir amb els amics en les xarxes socials. Quan estem a la botiga en directe, ens diuen m'agrada, no m'agrada.
Potser no caldria que em posessis amb tots els homes aquests amb
Per què, un moment, per què en Pau li ha sortit amb roba interior?
Again, it looks cool. But take a look at this specific image. We see that this ad tech platform uses facial recognition, stores and displays personal information, and even analyzes that person's emotional state. My question for all of you, why do we think consumers actually want this? And that leads to the first myth in ad tech that I will discuss today, that consumers want targeted, personalized advertising. And that myth underpins all the others. You see, the ad tech world thinks so much about if it can do something that it never stops to think about whether consumers actually want it. It's important to start with targeting and personalization because most ad tech is based on the collection and use of private and personal consumer data. Personalization and tracking cannot happen without personal data. And we marketers just assume that people want to be tracked and receive relevant advertising. Every day, I see dozens of articles by marketers who advocate for personalization and tracking, but, spoiler alert, many of them work for ad tech platforms and are selling something. I never see anyone asking for evidence of whether consumers actually want personalization and targeting. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I found it. Direct marketers love ad tech because it is trackable, but consumers hate it for the exact same reason. Even starting way back in 2009, a US study found that 66% of Americans did not want direct marketing that is tailored to their interests. And then, when you tell them how their data is collected and used, that percentage increased to 86%. And that was 10 years ago. Today, a Harvard study found that if you track people and then tell them about it, then that admission poisons the ads and ruins their effect. Now, in this Marketing Sherpa survey, online direct response of all types is the type of Marcom that consumers like the least. And Doc Searles used Google Trends data to show in the Harvard Business Review that the rise of ad blocking has specifically correlated with the appearance of retargeted advertising. Retargeting was the straw that broke the web's back. Basically, retargeting has turned the marketing industry into drug addicts on the path to suicide. We like the constant highs of the purchases and the conversions and the sales, but all of those hits are going to kill us once consumers have had enough and block all ads altogether. People do not want to be tracked. The more that Marcom tracks people, the more it will annoy people. As Searles wrote, quote, "Annoying people personally with calls to action when only a tiny percentage will respond creates no brand value and has negative externalities, such as associating the brand with annoyance." Here's an example. Say you target people with some direct response ad, and you get 3% to respond. You will annoy the other 97%, and they may never buy from you in the future as a result. Is that truly a good way to build a brand for the long term? Because according to PageFair's AdBlock report, 18% of people in North America and 20% in Europe today are now using ad blockers. 63% of millennials are using ad blockers on at least one device, and 14% are using them on both mobile and desktop. The more that people are seeing how their personal data is being collected and used, the more they are choosing to opt out. But the problem is far greater. When I recently visited TechCrunch, I saw that the website attempted to load 22 different ad tech trackers that tried to collect my personal information. My ad blockers rendered all of those ad tech platforms useless. Good for me, bad for them. And when you run the numbers and look at it in the opposite way, you'll see that more than 220 million people in Western Europe and North America today are now blocking even just Google Analytics. And the more technical your target audience, the more likely it is that they are using these blockers. And what does that mean? All of these numbers you see in your dashboards are probably very, very wrong. And Apple Safari 11 browser now uses intelligent tracking prevention, which deletes all cookies after 24 hours. Again, people do not want to be tracked. In the UK, a Guardian reporter obtained all of the data that Tinder, now this is Tinder, had on her. What did she get? 800 pages of personal information that Tinder had collected on her. Now, what does this mean for marketers? This is data recently compiled by Richard Huntington and Niles Leonard in the UK. Until the mid-1990s, people thought the quality of the ads were as good as the TV programs. But ever since, consumers think the ad quality has become worse and worse every single year. Remember, we marketers distinguish between direct response and brand advertising, but consumers do not. They just call it all advertising. And the more that we prioritize direct response and tracking over brand advertising, the more that consumers are hating all advertising. Today, in 2019, favorable consumer sentiment towards ads in the UK has fallen to an all-time low of 25%. So, is tracking and personalization a good thing? I'll let you be the judge. Now, on to the next myth, that the medium does not matter. Of course, the traditional model of advertising is that we develop a list of the publications that our target audiences are reading. We contact them, send the ad appears. One type of ad tech aims to cut out the publication entirely to save money and target people individually wherever they go online. But my point here is to show how mediums themselves play a role in advertising effectiveness. When I was studying journalism in the late 90s, my first internship was at a weekly Boston newspaper. The paper, the residents, and the businesses that served them all had an interdependent, symbiotic relationship. The business owners were proud to appear in a recognized and quality-controlled publication with a deep community presence. They clipped the articles and the ads and hung them on their walls. The publication itself was critical to the brand of the advertisers, and vice versa, in a way that made them partners and two sides of the same marketing coin. Now, imagine how business owners felt when their ads appeared next to this in YouTube's brand safety scandal. If the medium does not matter, then why did the companies pull millions of dollars in ad spend from Google and YouTube until this no longer happened? Because, as Ferris Yacob puts it, we judge brands like people by the company they keep. The mediums in which we choose to advertise our products themselves reflect on our products. The medium affects the brand in a critical way. After all, if you want to brand and sell a premium luxury product, where are you going to put it? Outbrain and Taboola? Seriously? Or luxury print magazines? Ad tech platforms proclaim that they cut out the middleman, but the middleman is what builds the brand. And they do so because all advertising impressions are not created equal. I would take one real person looking at my ad in a quality print magazine over 1,000 impressions on Outbrain or Taboola. But I'm just beginning with the middleman. Here's the next myth, that ad tech saves money by cutting out those middlemen. Yes, there are a lot of middlemen, in the middle of course, who cost a lot of money. Ad tech uses automated platforms to remove those middlemen. You write an ad, pick some custom audience, and push a button. The ads, in theory, are then displayed in front of anyone who fits that profile, regardless of where they go online. That should save a lot of money, in theory. Digital marketers have always assumed that reaching perfect individuals returns better results than reaching all potential category buyers. But that has never been proven, and I think I know why. Ad tech did not cut out the middlemen. Ad tech just replaced one set of middlemen with another. In the calculation that you see here, advertisers get only 25% of the value for which they pay because any ad must be sent through agencies, exchanges, and platforms within microseconds before it appears in front of consumers. Now, and every agency, exchange, and platform takes a cut. In effect, advertisers pay $1 for 25 cents of advertising. But that is only the beginning. Here's a breakdown that Bob Hoffman once did. Say you start with $1 or €1. According to the World Federation of Advertisers, here is what happens next. First, your media agency takes 5 cents in service fees. Then their trading desk takes about 15 cents. Their demand-side platform takes about 10 cents, and then other ad tech middlemen take about 25 cents for targeting, data, and verification. And then an ad exchange takes another 5 cents. In other words, you have lost more than half of your investment before the ad even appears on websites. You have 40 cents left of your dollar. But only 50% of that spend is on ads that are viewable, which leaves us with 20 cents. And after accounting for ad fraud, such as bot activity and fraudulent publishers, we have 16 cents. But only 2/3 of the resulting viewable impressions are actually seen by human eyeballs, leaving us with 11 cents. And among those ads that are actually seen by human eyeballs, 75% of the time, people do not look at them for more than a second, rendering those impressions useless. So, after we account for all of these new middlemen, we get 3 cents of real value for every dollar that you spend. Now that's average data. Here's a real-world example. The Guardian bought its own online ad space in a test. And what happened? The Guardian got only 30% of the money that they paid to themselves. You can Google it, it's a great case study. Well, great for some people, not so great for others. The Guardian said, quote, "A host of ad tech businesses operating within the supply chain are extracting up to 70% of advertisers' money without being able to quantify the value that they provide to the brand." And according to the newest data, brands today are now losing $50 billion per year to ad fraud, and that is only in the US. Now, here's something that you can use. The Internet Advertising Bureau in the UK has created a list of FAQs that marketers can ask their ad platforms and suppliers to determine exactly how their money is being spent. Just Google this and you'll get all of the questions. But do keep in mind that the IAB is an ad tech lobbying group, so they have a bias. Now, ad tech says it gets quick results, but the fourth myth in ad tech is that short-term results are the most important. Too many marketers, especially in the online world, get hooked on short-term direct response metrics and assign those metrics to all Marcom activities. But not everything important in Marcom results in an immediate, trackable response in some analytics platform. What is most important is what changes inside people's heads. Here's a metaphor. Direct response is picking the fruit at the bottom of the funnel. These people have grown, they're ripe, and they're ready to buy. Brand advertising is watering the tree so that more fruit will grow in the future. As Roy Sutherland has said, direct response tells people what to do so they will buy today. Advertising tells people what to think so they will buy tomorrow. Short-term direct response leads to limited short-term returns. But the greatest long-term profit growth comes mainly from long-term brand advertising. And that comes from the fifth myth, that targeting solves the problem of waste. Now, people think that advertising to people who do not immediately make a purchase is wasteful. But that idea is wrong. When I was in 6th grade in the US in 1992, every kid wanted a pair of Umbro football shorts. It was the big fad because football had spread from the UK to the US in the 80s and 90s. Now, after I bought a pair and went to school, all of my classmates turned to look at me, and the boys ran over and looked at my neon nylon shorts and gave me high fives. "Nice, dude," they said, because it was 1992 and we were 12. Everyone was impressed by my Umbro shorts because everyone had developed the same brand association. Everyone had developed that same association because everyone had seen the same ads and everyone knew that everyone else had seen the same ads. That is how brands are built over the long term. If I had seen some random PPC ad for these Umbro shorts, on some website in 1992, I wouldn't have given it a second thought. Now, you see, online marketers think so much about targeting that they forget about signaling. That year in 6th grade, I liked this girl named Jennifer. Now, she never would have bought the shorts, but she thought they were cool because everyone thought they were cool. And that was the real reason I wanted the shorts. Now, Jennifer never bought the shorts, but the ad spend to show her the ads was not a waste because the fact that she thought they were cool caused me to buy them. The so-called waste is what makes campaigns effective because of the principle of signaling. What brands you choose to buy is in part due to what you want people to think about you. And only brand advertising, not direct response, not targeted online spam, can do that. And that leads us to the final myth in ad tech today, that spending money on long-term brand building can be ignored somewhat because it's not directly measurable in the short term. Remember, not every activity in Marcom can or should aim to receive an immediate, trackable response. That is why the promotion mix consists of many different types of tactics. According to BBH in London, 84% of the value of S&P 500 companies in the US comes from intangible assets, which is in part another term for the brand. And how do you both build a brand in the long term and get sales in the short term? The IPA in the UK found that on average, 60% of your spend should be on long-term brand advertising and 40% should be on short-term activation. Now, here's something completely new that few have seen. LinkedIn commissioned the IPA to do similar research for the B2B world. LinkedIn exclusively gave me the research for my column in the Drum, and LinkedIn will release it publicly later this year. Now, the B2C average is roughly 60-40, but in some sectors, such as retail, it's 64-36 in favor of brand. But in B2B, it's more equal and a little opposite. In B2B, the average optimal spend is 54-46 in favor of activation. But for any brand, the most effective practice is to spend more and more on brand and less on activation as time goes on. If anyone here would like all of this research, just email me and I'll send you the link to my column. Now, why is brand advertising so important? Direct response and activation brings quick but small results. Brand advertising brings slow but large results. Here's another way to look at it. Every time that you do an activation campaign, you'll see a quick spike in revenue. Like throwing money on PPC and Google AdWords or something. You'll see a spike in revenue, the line in yellow. But that spike will never grow past that upper limit unless you grow the brand as well, the line in brown. And when you add the two lines together, you will see how both brand advertising and direct response together leads to the best long-term results. Most importantly, companies with strong brands can charge up to a 13% price premium, which leads to the greatest revenue in the long term. And on average, across all industries, brand value represents 20% of total market capitalization. So, how would you apply all of this? I agree with Nielsen's new CMO report, which found that traditional media is best for brand building at the top of the funnel, and online media is best for direct response and sales activation. But if I could summarize with one thought, it would be this. Ad tech platforms and the marketers who use them focus so much on how to transmit and target ads that they never think anymore about how to create good ones. So, ladies and gentlemen, I will leave you with one question. What is the best way to sell more razor blades in the long term? With online targeting and tracking and hitting people with cheap spam? Or, to bring this talk full circle, building a brand with the Venus ad of today?
She's not afraid to shine. Puts her arms around the world. 21st century mind. 21st century girl. She's got it. Ooh, baby, she's got it. She's got it. Ooh, baby, she's got it.
Everyone, thank you for coming, and now I'm off to shave my legs.